Well, you know, we're talking about great ideas for the holidays because that gets to be very tricky and they're rapidly upon us. It's hard sometimes not to overeat during the holiday season. Our next guest is a nutrition counselor and Boho cycle instructor who has some helpful tips to share with us. We welcome Michelle Bear to Virginia this morning. The thing that I love, Michelle, we were already talking about this, everything here is fair game, right?
Yep,
so I see wine, I see potato chips, you guys, we're gonna get to it.
We're hiding them in the back.
Okay, and I see some cookies and brownies, but let's not focus on the too much of those. We've got a strategy here. What are the tips for getting through the holidays?
Yeah, so we have a few. First, most importantly, make a plan for your month. You know, if you have tons of parties you're going to, maybe some are just appetizers, maybe some are dinners, maybe some are just drinks. Make a plan so you can kind of maybe make one of the parties your dinner, like actually go there and eat your dinner. Or if it's something lighter, eat before. Eat a bunch of vegetables before so you don't have to, you're not as hungry and you won't go straight for the cookies when you get there.
What I'm hearing is kind of take a look at what you've been invited to, and if it's a big old, you know, dinner, you might want to have a little bit before you get there so you're not ravenous and don't overindulge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and your eye's going to go right to those things that we know you shouldn't eat. So, yeah.
All right, I like it. Make a plan. When you look at some of these parties, you know, there are a variety. Sometimes I host a cookie exchange. Like, that's what it is. We eat cookies. So what do you do to kind of balance those things?
Yeah, and that can get really tricky and hard. And I think in terms of like the cookie exchange as an example, make smaller cookies. Because, you know, you're probably going to want to try more than one kind. So make them smaller. And it's a little bite, and then maybe you can have 1 or 2 or 3.
Okay.
And that equals 1 big cookie, you know?
Right. Okay, so it is about looking at it and kind of, what is my window of planning? You know, you said look at the month, and for a lot of folks that can seem overwhelming. If you take it day by day, maybe you've had a little bit of a heavy breakfast, and then how do you find ways to balance?
Yeah, so take it day by day. If you have had a heavy breakfast, try to do something lighter for lunch, like a salad, or skip the dressing, you know, instead use lemon or lime or salt and pepper. Keep it simple. Dressings, dips, all that kind of stuff gets really caloric really fast, and if you nix that, maybe then you can have a cookie for dinner.
And typically when we start thinking about watching what we're eating, the tendency is to be like, I'm cutting it all out, this is all I'm eating all month, I'm not gonna have any treats or any sweets. That's not gonna work, and you're allowed to find that balance.
Yeah, you absolutely are, and I think also a lot of people get in a rut where they feel guilty. You know, it's like, oh, I binged yesterday, we had a big party, and I ate all the things that I wanted and more, and you know, that's okay. You know, you indulged, reset, and try to focus on eating something healthy for the next couple days, maybe until your next party, and go from there.
You see wine here. You were telling me about a strategy there.
Yeah, so I mean, holidays can have a lot of alcohol involved, and wine is fine. Just maybe try to do 1-to-1. Do wine and then do sparkling water with a lemon next. I think where we were also discussing, it gets tricky if you're doing cocktails. There's tons of syrups and sugar, and who even knows what's in them. Sometimes cocktails, you don't even know what's in it, and that's where it gets really dangerous. And so stick to what you know. Stick to things that are simple, and try to mix it up with a seltzer sometimes.
And oftentimes you will go to a party and your host has made like a signature drink, and so you aren't really sure how much is in it or what calorie-wise it's made up. So you can regulate your thing and still have a celebratory spirit if you want to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How did potato chips make it here? I know everybody was curious about that.
So we know that, you know, it's the holidays, you want to indulge, you don't want to be just eating peppers. So if you are going to go with chips, try to buy bags of chips, like the small individually packaged chips instead of the giant Costco bags. I love Costco, great deal. But the individually portioned, that'll keep you from overindulging. And if you do have to go with the big bag, pour it into a smaller bowl or a small plate, and give yourself that individual portion.
And allow yourself to have that little taste and that mouthfeel, because then you don't go bananas later and want to eat the entire bag, right? Which we've all been there and done that. It happens. So vegetables we talked about, this is a great thing. Fill up before you go. Great thing to kind of reset and help yourself out. Fruit can be a big friend.
Yeah, it can be. I think sometimes after a meal you want something sweet. You want to get that sweet bite, and fruit is really sweet. It can be really, really satisfy that for you. And also another thing is, like, if you're at a table, fruit is often a small bite option. So maybe go for that first before you go straight for the chips, cookies, dips, brownies type of thing.
And you addressed this already. I mean, we are seeing brownies, we are seeing cookies. It does come back to finding that balance.
Yes, absolutely. If you're just cutting it all out and you go cold turkey straight away, it's going to be hard, and you're going to end up overindulging later and feeling guilty about it. So you might as well have a little bite and treat yourself.
Michelle, you're a nutritionist. You also are an instructor at Boho Cycling. You have that balance, and that was what we've been talking about the whole time, but you know, you almost can't do one without the other. There's got to be a little activity and kind of monitoring what you're up to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just always finding that healthy balance, getting moving, not just sitting around. It gets cold, but still go out for a walk, take a class, you know, bring some friends and get your whole family walking after Thanksgiving. I always think those turkey trots and all that stuff is a great way to balance the eating with movement. But at the same time, you can't have just exercise without thinking about nutrition. It's a huge part, and not only good for your health, but for your body, your mind, and it'll give you that balance.
All right, 'tis the season to find some balance.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
no
Michelle. Boho Core is offering 2 classes happening Sunday, November 6th from 3 to 5 p.m. and the other one's coming up next month, Sunday, December 4th from 4 to 6 p.m. For a complete list of the class schedules, we're going to put a link on our show website on WTVR.com/VTM. Be sure to check them out because it's a great time to get started and be ahead of the curve for the new year.